Hi Megan, it's Colleen, and these are my comments on your paper. Looking over your APA just really quickly, other than on the first page, you're missing page numbers, so make sure you go back and insert page numbers. On your references page, this needs a DOI. The DOI, the Digital Object Identifier, is on the last page of that article, so please go back and check that. I love that you cited me. I think that's hysterical. I think that's probably the first time I've ever been cited in a paper. Let's go back through and take a look at the rest of it. Oh, claim of policy. Honestly, I would put claim of policy earlier on. Put it up as the before ethos, logos, pathos, because I think it will help your audience understand what's going on better if in the ethos, logos, pathos, if they know that it's a claim of policy. So I would just move that whole section up earlier. Let's take a look at what you have going on in your paper. Okay. Then proceed her audience to consent to a legalized system for monetary compensation or live organ donation through, I want to say to consent to support maybe through a proficient use of writing techniques. Excellent. Some of the writing skills that really stood out to me. Oh, don't. I would say you don't want to say stood out to me because you need to take out any of that first person. So I would say some of the most prominent writing techniques used were logos, pathos, and ethos, something like that. She also was able to persuade the audience without being too aggressive. She sets up the structure of her article by using claim of policy. This is an effective way to persuade her audience. Okay, good. What is missing in your introductory paragraph is the name of the title of the article, where it was published. So make sure you put those two things in there. Also, when you first introduce Amy Friedman, it should be Amy L. Friedman. Simply that's because that's how she has her name listed. From there on in, any other time you refer to her, just refer to her as Friedman, which it looks like you do. So good. Okay, logos, pathos, and ethos. Logos is appealing, and pathos is appealing. Okay. I don't know if you remember in the instructions I said, don't give a lesson on what these things are on the rhetorical strategies. Assume your audience knows what they are. So I would take this out here. As far as you don't have to have an intro paragraph. If you do want to have an intro paragraph, make these things specific to Friedman. So something along the lines of, Friedman uses all three of Aristotle's appeals, logos, ethos, pathos, to persuade her audience, something like that. Okay, logos. Friedman uses logos in her article in many different ways. One of the most prominent uses of logos is by her references to studies and statistics. For example, she uses statistics. Don't start with a but. Okay, but there's no other weather. So what I'm going to say here is that we've identified something. Great. You're starting to explain how she uses it. If you take a look at the grade sheet, it's under Unit 1, Paper 1, grade sheet for Paper 1. There's a section on it that says you need to explain and support the following. How each example of a writing technique you give is an example of that particular technique, why Friedman uses it, how does it affect the audience, how does this affect, help or hinder Friedman in accomplishing her goal. All of those things need to be addressed for every example you give. So in every paragraph, all of that needs to be addressed. That's going to help you get that analysis in your paper, get some depth to your writing, and some length in your paper, to your paper. So make sure you're addressing all of those things because you're not giving me the how does it affect the audience and how does this affect, help, or hinder Friedman in accomplishing her goal. That's missing. And it's missing from probably 75% of the papers that I look at as far as the first drafts go. So don't feel bad. This is something very typical. Just make sure that you're adding it. That's the analysis that most students aren't used to doing. And so it's really easy to not put that in there. Okay. There's a lot of other donations that goes on. Donations of human body parts that go on. I don't know. I find a better way of wording it. It's kind of awkward. She uses the table to show this information organized in a within way. The other thing you need to do here is, her biggest use of logos is those comparisons. And just come out and state that. What is she comparing? She's comparing legal and accepted uses of the human body, right? Donations, whatever. And you say she compares people in other situations. The point she's trying to prove is this isn't quite enough here, and it's not to connect with her audience on a personal level. That's pathos. what you need to be talking about here is how she's setting it up in a lot. She's setting up logical argumentation because she's saying, look, we already pay for all of these donations or uses of the body, right? She lists all those different things. She even lists some of them here. We already pay for these things. We think it's okay for it to be legal, and we accept it. And then she proves that the live organ donation is the same. You know, it's based on the same principle. It's equal to. So she's saying, look, we already accept payment for, giving payment for A. I'm going to show you that B equals A, the B, which is the organ donation. And if I can show you that B equals A, then you have to accept that paying for B is acceptable and it should be legal. That's how you need to be talking about this, okay? So you might want to go back and take a look at my PowerPoint that I gave you guys with all the videos in it. I think that explains that a little better. Okay, pathos. One of the ways she uses pathos is by using stories, inspirational messages, and vivid language. She doesn't really use stories because she doesn't talk about any particular person, so I would not put that in there. And I'm not sure about inspirational messages either. Another advantage that she lists is how it not only doctors, but also. Okay, for this one, what she's really doing is she's making them feel guilty. And so you need to sort of redirect this. Again, I would refer you back to the PowerPoint. Uses the outrageous evidence in the table mentioned above to get your attention. Her audiences. Okay, after that, the author uses vivid language in the following example to get the reader to see the shocking reality. This really shows the reader how ridiculous some of the medical and legal aspects can be. One thing has a legalized system to control, while something related to it does not. That point is something that can be tied back into her persuasion for the legalized system. Okay, I see where you're going. I'm not sure how this is pathos, though, and you really need to work on your clarity. And how does it affect the audience? How does this affect, help, or hinder Friedman accomplishing her goal? Make sure you're doing that for every single one of your paragraphs. I'm probably going to be saying the same thing for all of it. Friedman's kind of policy was her solution of having a legalized system for life. The solution is, okay. Problem, claim policy argues the problem 2 different ways. The audience must convince in this article. Friedman does a wonderful job of providing the reader with instances and statistics. Okay, tell me what those are. What are those statistics and how does it help persuade them? Be more specific, be more thorough. Aside from the problem with advisement, the goal is that the audience will persuade the best way to do this, to show the audience how the solutions Friedman is able to accomplish this by mentioning many times the negative things that are going in the black market. Friedman gives many ways to make this work, multiple reasons. Be more specific with her solution. Talk about the section where she actually says, how will this work? Okay. Okay, good. I not just made it interesting, I would say compelling, persuasive, something like that. So go through and make sure you're answering all 4 of those, addressing all 4 of those things where it says you need to explain and support the following on the grade sheet. And then if you have questions, make sure you let me know.